What's going on, everyone? Sid Gordon here, Core Medical Podcast, and we have one of the OGs from Core Medical, Mike Arrow, and one of my dear friends, Mel Chansey, strategic partner here with Mel, with Core Medical, and then the fucking man, Vincent Rocco Vargas, in town. His new book just came out. Super pumped that you went out of your way for us, dude.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like I'm an OG as well. I feel like I can...
Oh, you actually are.
OG as well.
No doubt, bro. No doubt.
In multiple ways, bro.
In multiple ways, yeah.
And, you know, Mel talks about you almost on every single podcast about like how we got started with the military.
Yeah. I mean, because it was you, bro. It was you, Melissa Jarbo.
Yep.
Came in with you, and you know them hurdles that we had to jump through.
Yep.
And then finally we just said, hey, we're doing this on our own, and you know, you stayed true here, and and the doors that you opened up for us in the military and with the veterans and stuff. And we were just talking about that, how what a tight knit community that is to get into.
Yeah.
And we really had to gain the trust.
That's what it is. That's what it
Yeah.
is. Like, people would call me and be like, yo, tell me the truth about them. I said, bro, they're dope. Hit them up. And I kept sending them to Mike. And that started with, like, you know, then you got, you know, guys like Cody, guys like Nick. You know, it all at one point funneled through me like, what do you think? I'm like, they're good dudes.
Yeah.
So at the event we had last year, I did an exercise about growth, and the exercise was I brought everybody up on stage that helped the community grow. And you weren't there, but you had a slot, and it started, you know, in the military world. It started with, you know, Nick K, because he was right after you. No, it started with Mel, and then it went to, because he brought in Jarbo, and then it was going to go to you, and then to Nick K, and then it was like Cody and all the other people, and then you had Colton Hill's shit back up, and then you had Colton's wife up there, who brought us, you know, OUR, and that's, you know, the fundraiser, the whole 9 yards, and it was just, there was like 10 people on stage, and everyone was like, holy shit, like that's what it really took to grow that whole circle of people. Chuck was there, he saw the exercise, and it was like awesome. You know, I was like, Jesus, that was just unbelievable. The hoops and bounds. It really took us a good 4 years.
Well, think about it. Let's rewind back to the 6 years when Rocco first came in with Melissa, and we went to the shop with the bike, you know, the shop and stuff like that. You were just starting to film, right?
I think mine's season 2. We just started.
It was mine season 2.
Yeah, he was just rolling into that, getting his character built up over there and stuff. So I look back at it.
That video is still kicking, dude.
I believe it.
It's still kicking heavy, bro. And I'm embarrassed of it now, you know?
Oh, yeah, because we didn't know what we know now, right? So
the funny part about that was, like, it was still early enough that I was like nervous, like, man, do I talk about TRT or not? Like, and you know, the misconceptions of TRT, and like people think it's steroids and all that. And I'm like, dude, do I really want to put my face on this movement? But I knew how good it was for me, and I knew how good it was for others, and I was like, fuck, dude. And I never caught the shit I thought in my head was gonna happen. Like, I thought people were gonna be like, dude, this guy's fucking pushing this shit. And like, no, dude. Everyone calls me like, bro, it's changed my life. And I was like, all right, fucking good.
It's amazing, bro.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool, the doors that it opens up.
So I'm sure 90% of the people out there that watch this podcast, they know you, know of you. Can you just give a quick background to that 10% that doesn't?
Yeah. Yeah, so I did call Vince Vargas, obviously from Los Angeles, California. Originally, I played some baseball, went to college, played baseball, academically ineligible, lost a full ride at a college in Kentucky, and that kind of fast forwarded my life into the military. I had a daughter at the time. That was kind of like the motivation. Also, the war was happening. It was 2003, and I was like, well, fuck, if baseball's gone, let me just join the military. Boom, jumped into 2nd of the 75th Ranger Regiment was my original contract. Did 3 tours, 2 to Afghanistan, 1 to Iraq. Jumped out of the military, active duty, went into the reserves, became a drill sergeant. At the same time, when I wasn't doing drill sergeant, I became a prison guard at a private prison for 2 years as I was waiting for my hiring of the Border Patrol. Became a Border Patrol agent in 2009, jumped into the Special Operations by 2012, then laterally transferred over to SOG, Special Operations Group, attached to BORTAC. You'll know the famous mission that I was on was Escape from Dannemora, the TV show, but 2 escaped convicts in New York. I left the day they engaged, or the day before they engaged on the target, because I went home to try and put together the kind of like the family that I was losing, essentially. Resigned from the Border Patrol, started doing some YouTube, produced some movie, and then jumped into Mayans MC. Did that for the past 6 years. Also trickled in there some businesses that's gone in and done. Some are doing good, some are not, whatever. But I just started doing some writing, some acting, producing, directing, and so on.
And that's your passion, isn't it?
That is, man. It's really the creative side of my brain. Never expected that. All those years of just kind of like doing, shoot 'em in missions and special operations. All those years of doing special operations, I kind of lost the connection to my creativity that I used to love as a kid, and I found it again through acting and writing and everything else that's kind of creative. Like, even podcasting for me is fun, right?
Yeah,
any kind of creative side.
And you've been on some amazing podcasts, and you have a great one too.
Yeah.
That it helps me really develop having these podcasts. Like I learned so much, sitting here just having a conversation. And for me, it's like when I get to speak it and like interact and engage with people that are smarter than me a lot of times, it's super helpful. I mean, Mike's been around for
going on 12
years, and he's seen the company. I don't know when you tell him.
I mean, when I first started, it was. TRT wasn't so taboo as it is now. I mean, now you have clinics everywhere.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of explaining the process, explaining what it does, explaining the benefits. And now, I mean, we benefit. I think it's great the amount of companies that have opened because it's just brought so much attention and has kind of taken the stigma away from testosterone being such a bad thing.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no competition anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like I don't look at anything as people say, is that your competition? No, we don't have any. You know what I mean? It's just like because I welcome the additional education if it's the right one to the industry.
Yeah. And we stay and we do us. You know what I always say that we do us. We don't concentrate on nobody else. And and we were blessed with, like I said, with Rocco, with the military. We found a really, we have every patient, but I'm saying our military presence.
70% of our patients.
Is that what it is? 70? Yeah, that's huge.
And, so the one thing I've noticed, like we spent a lot of time together. You came to visit me when I was at John's last time. Mm-hmm. What was the dude's name that came with you? I forgot from the Mayans.
Gino Vento.
Gino Vento. Unbelievable dude. Such a freaking solid
Cool
cat,
dude,
man.
huh? Yeah.
And I always look at Rocco as like this dude with like so much energy and so much drive. And it reminds me of the story that you told about running around that track with your boy. And the bell was in the middle, and I think all the drill sergeants were like eating hot dogs. You were at like a ranger school.
Yeah. It's a RIP. It was at RIP, and then there's a thing called Cole Range, and you have this open field. It's probably like a 2-mile run around circles, and it says it pays to be a winner, RIP, and RIP is Ranger Indoctrinal Program, but since we're the student, they call us RIP, right? So it pays to be a winner, RIP. So if you're not first, well, then you're doing it again. And we did this for hours.
But if you give up, you're done.
You give up, you're done. Yeah, you can quit and not be a ranger, right? But you get to have sodas and hot dogs over there and a nice campfire and not cold, So you're watching these dudes eat hot dogs and you're like, that looks good, And then you're over here running.
Plus you haven't eaten in 2 days.
Right, exactly. And then you're running your 10th mile and a Doberman Pinscher's chasing you and they're calling you all kinds of fucking names and you're like, maybe this isn't for me. And so,
but if you get first, you're done.
No, yeah. So this iteration after iteration, but I was last a lot, dude. So I'm just still like.
He was like, what were you, 280?
Yeah, no, I wasn't that big, but I was still a big ranger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It was like I just kept like, oh man.
His boy, he's like talking to his boy, dude, don't quit. Let's go, keep going.
Yeah.
And bro, I think they called it like right immediately
No,
after.
he quit. Yeah. So the dude in front of me, I went to basic training with him. His father was Special Forces, and he was dope, good shaped kid. Everything was good. But, after like our 10th time, you just feel like it's never going to end. You start getting demoralized a little bit. You watching these dudes having hot dogs and fucking sodas. Yeah. Like, come on, Rip, it's okay. Just quit. You get a hot dog and a soda. You know what I mean? You're like, fuck, it sounds good.
Deal. Yeah, good deal.
And the dude, he's in front of me about 5 feet, and I see him look that way, and he kind of starts peeling off. And I'm like, bro, and I don't want to say his name, but I'm like, bro, what are you doing? And he just looks at me and just keeps going, and I was like, fuck, dude. And I knew his dad was a former Special Forces dude in Vietnam, bro. So, the legacy of that.
Talk about an OG.
Right, the legacy of that, it was like, I was like, damn, and it fucked in my head to think about, what made him quit, dude? And as he goes over there, and we're still running, and, they blow the whistle, and it's done. The event's over, dude. He missed it by you know what I mean? By I don't know, 5 minutes maybe.
Oh, man.
And that's like a crazy feeling because you're like, and he's over there eating his hot dogs, and I think now he's watching us thinking like, fuck, was that worth it?
That was minutes away.
So did he start over?
I never seen him again. I don't know if he ever went Ranger again.
You ask him how the hot dog was?
No, you don't get to talk to them, bro. They're quitters in Norway. They're quitters. Like, don't talk to them. They're off.
So, do you think that portion of your life gave you the drive you have to take? Because I mean, dude, you're like, you got a lot going on, dude. You have like, what do you have? 5 kids?
8 kids, man. 5 in the house. Yeah.
8 kids, 5 in the house, and like that can't be.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think in the military, I learned a lot about myself that I didn't know was in me. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not really pushed, the hardest thing I did before the military was Hell Week in football. And I remember going into Hell Week thinking, like, oh, I hope they don't make me quit. Am I going to quit? Is it going to be too hard?
Hardest thing you did was following your dad's rules.
Yeah, my dad was fucking tough. Yeah. Besides him, actually going to basic training, I was like, can they put their hands on me? No. Well, then I ain't fucking worried about shit. Yell at me all you want, dog.
You've been through that.
Yeah. So it was a different thing where I didn't know how good I could be at the military. I didn't know if I had a breaking point. I didn't know any of this. It was like, so as you're kind of, all of us are the same, and so we're just there like, I'm not gonna quit. And then there's moments you think like, man, quitting sounds really good because this is fucked up, you know. And it almost feels in that moment of basic training, airborne rip, that it's like, is this all the military is? Is just kick me in the fucking nuts all goddamn day? You know what I mean? Like all you do is go to sleep at night licking your wounds. It feels like that a lot of times, and so you don't even see the light at the end of the tunnel because you don't even know what it is. You don't know what real military is because you're just doing so much training.
Can you recall a point in your military career where you were close?
No, there wasn't a time in the military career. I wrote in the book that there's a time in the Border Patrol special operations, but I was older, body's a little broken down. In the military, I was so motivated because I didn't know what was next, and I was like, I got to do this for my daughter. Like, my whole thing was like, don't embarrass my father. That dude is my world, bro. And be like a representation of the Vargas name for my daughter. You know what I mean? At the time, she was 2 years old, and I don't think I could be proud of a man yet, right? I haven't done anything for this girl. So, like, I was so proud of my father, the way he handled life, that I was wanting to be a good role model for her. And all I thought about, bro, is a stage. And I'm going to walk across the stage one day, and she's going to be cheering me on. And I've held on to that thought still to this day. One day, maybe acting, writing, I'll be an award, and my kids will all be there with my wife and cheering me on. I'm like, oh, shit, I finally made it happen.
Yeah, it happened. That's
but
awesome,
that's been my chase ever since. And that girl was the start. Actually, I just graduated from college recently with my fucking bachelor's degree, which is like, for me, it's like a fucking huge deal.
Yeah.
But I sent a text to her saying, you're the one who started this. The man I am today is you're the one who started this whole version, trying to be good for her.
Wow. And she's how old now?
She's 21. She turned 21.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
bro, I'm trying to beat her from getting her degree. I'm like, oh, shit, I gotta get my degree. So I was like, I got it first, motherfucker.
Yeah. Wow, that's
Everybody needs
awesome.
that driving force.
What's that?
Yeah.
I said everybody needs that driving force.
Yeah.
There's
Everybody's got something behind them.
and that's
course,
what mine
yeah.
is. Mine's always been them. My wife cheering me on. My father proud. My mom's always proud. I can fuck up everything. She thinks I'm the greatest.
Yeah,
you know?
I've seen that.
So moms are
Not
for.
mine.
That's how my mom is. You know.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's funny, you know, Mike and I have a similar like, you know, past, like divorce, the whole 9 yards, didn't come from the most wealthiest place in the world. And like that really drove me to my success, and probably him too. Like he wants to break that chain and like not ever, you know, listen, people can say what they want about having financial stability. Money's not everything, bro. It's fucking really hard to have kids and be broke. And the beauty of what I learned is like my first daughter, I didn't have that much money. And the things that I can do now, that stress off my shoulders with having Juliet versus when I had Jada, like I was a lot more absent in that relationship with my daughter because I was trying to make it happen. And like, you know, he's very close probably to having a kid too. And I mean, your day to day is you grind real hard, probably thinking about the future.
Harder than I've ever thought. You know, I never thought in a million years I'd be in the situation I'm in. And like he said, didn't come from much growing up, very similar. And when you're presented with an opportunity, like, you know, Sidney gave me 11 years ago, I took that opportunity by the balls and I just never looked back. And to this day, I mean, I'm still hustling harder.
For sure, Mike, since I've
Well,
known
that's
you
my
in the 6
fault. I
years.
keep putting more and more on, but whatever.
I don't like to let people down. That's
No,
my
that,
biggest thing.
well, you don't.
And you're in as a patient coordinator, Mike. I mean, you know, we got good patient coordinators, but I mean, you really stand out because you know you really take the extra time with people, you know, and but you know you pride yourself on that. It goes a long way with us
we
here.
just had Alex on, and you know, Alex that was here for the past 2 days with his wife started with Mike, and he was just like, dude, I saw all these like celebrity guys, like military dudes that are just badass, like talking these amazing things. I was like, geez, like this has got to be full of shit. You know what I mean? These guys have to be full of shit.
Yeah.
And then he waited almost a year and a half to call us by seeing your stuff and Nick's stuff. And then it started to follow Mel, I think he said. And then he kept hearing the same commonality. Then he got Mike on the phone and he's like, bro, fuck, man, I waited that fucking long. Like he was like upset with himself because he was like, you know, there was a great light. And, you know, he was in pretty bad shape, dude.
Dude, I'm trying to convince my wife. She's still the type of person who's on the fence of it all, right? And this is her second child at her age right now.
Which is what does she do?
She's 38, I think it is. And so the baby's 2 years old, so she had 36. And she just doesn't feel the same. And so we did her blood work, and it's like, yeah, your hormones are out of whack. Well, we did
It's been 2 years since she's had a child, correct?
Yeah, and still her hormones are out of whack. Remember, we did 2 years of in vitro.
Oh,
that threw her shit out of whack. And so it's never gotten back, and she didn't understand it. I said, get your blood work done. So we did it. And still, she got everything, the prescription, did the calls, and she's afraid to take it. I said, Mike, I can't get her to take it.
Tell her to take it for a week and then stop taking it.
I know, but it's hard to get her to even do that. And so I told Mike, we're going to have to jump on another call. We need to find a way to make her comfortable because I don't think she realized the change of just having normal hormones, what it would change in her life.
You know, Rock, like my wife just turned 45, but she's been a patient of ours for the last 4 years. We don't have a child together, and she'd never had a baby. So she went into that menopause early. Yeah. And she was getting the night sweats and the lack of libido and the brain fog and everything like that. And we did her blood work, and of course, and she needed it. So talking to somebody like that would be great.
Yeah,
my wife on the phone and saying,
"Is your wife coming to Dallas?"
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, then we'll have to do
we
dinner for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's an important one that a lot of people who like that dude who took a year. It's that I don't know if this is real or not, but also the wives of that.
Well, he got turned down by his GP twice for having a 350 test score.
There's a lot of people that do that. The military is
problem.
infamous for that. The VA is infamous for that, dude.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you got 300, you're fine. Like, no,
I'm 31 years old. I've been in burn pits for the last 3 years.
Right, it's not, no.
And some people seek other avenues, and some people take their word.
Yeah, take their word.
Yeah, and that's exactly. And I think it's important for the wives to be just as invested in the potential of this than just the husbands.
It's a family thing. We have more than ever. So 7 years ago, I brought on a PA, Brianna, and Betsy too now, and they basically just specialize the majority of their additional CEs on female stuff. So we have like these two PAs that are like no fucking joke when it comes to female hormones. And you know, I tell husbands this all the time, like, dude, you know, we're responsible for saving a lot of marriages and also probably a lot of divorces, bro, because the guy gets on it and the wife doesn't. And he's here and she's here, dude. And it's like,
I've seen that a lot in just mental health and like growth. Like when men decide to take the path of like wellness, they start improving their life, and the wife is like, what are you trying to get so good for? What are you trying to improve for? What do you need abs for?
Let me see your phone. Let me see your phone.
What do you need mental health for? You know what I mean? And that's a very commonality. It's happening it's causing a rift in the relationship. And so like I would say that in mine, my wife's very like get healthy because she wants my health good, right? But at the same time, I see her struggling with herself right now. Positive body image, but also emotionally, all those things that I know come from in vitro and 2 years in that like I'm trying to get her on board because I know it'll make her happier. And that's like my goal is like, I want my wife happy. But at the same time is like, I think anyone who's part of this, it's really important to get their wives on board as just as much. And like, why not get their blood tested at the same time?
Mel has sent a few patients that not only did the wife get on board, but the grandparents even came on.
My dad's on board, dog.
Yes, Bob's on there. That's the best.
He loves it.
Tell us about your dad, because he's a pretty cool cat. And then you have to tell us a story about your audition with the Minds when you went, because that's the best story of all time, dude.
Yeah, my dad is born in the Bronx, New York, Puerto Rican kid, and trying to figure himself out back when it was Puerto Rican street here, the black street here, the Italians here.
Yeah, that's how New York was.
They kind of were getting away from their father, who was abusive, and so they started going west. They went to Chicago at one point, and then they ended up settling in L.A. He was a street kid. He was comfortable being on the street because if he came home, his father, who was a hard worker, would come home and drink, and if he drank too much, he'd be abusive, right? So he came home a couple times to his mom getting carted off to in an ambulance, and so it was kind of like, well, why go home? So he became a really comfortable being on the street. He ended up joining a street gang in L.A., And at 16, he got into a little bit of street altercation with another gang. And back then, it was pipes and chains and you know, brass knuckles and shit, you know. And so he got arrested. And at that time, it was still the Vietnam War was going on. And they said, you can go to war or you can go to jail. And he's like, oh, I'll go to war.
Yeah.
When he was in basic training, the war ended. And he was pissed. He's like, fuck, I missed it. But he got his Vietnam campaign medal. He was pumped about just being a part of that. And then he got out and he was trying to figure out what to do.
He's actually famous.
Yeah. So he did construction for a little bit, and then it was a rainy season. He goes into he sees a fire department thing. He applies for it. My mom helps him with the test. He becomes an LA City firefighter with like all these.
Because you could take the test at home then.
Yeah, it was like he was like, no, it's a weird thing, bro. But whatever. She's helping him with everything, dog. She helped him with all the like the reading and everything, and eventually he gets into the fire department with tattoos. Like he had to cover some up because some of them were still gang kind of tattoos affiliated, and then. Years later, my sister's dating a boxer, and we grew up boxing. My dad would like make us box in the front. We box all the time. So we were a family that he tell me.
That's why John likes you more than me.
Yeah, he would tell my mom like, stop washing the dishes, Alice. It's time the fight's on, and we watch all the greatest fights you can think of. I sat and watched them on. And my dad ordered them, so I know all these fights from as a kid. It's like we sat down, family time was watching boxing.
Yeah.
By chance, my sister started dating a retired boxer. His name was Jeremy Williams, and she goes, Dad, I met this boxer. He's like, yeah, right. What's his name? We Googled it was a thing back then, so it was probably like AOL. You know? Yeah.
And then 45 minutes later, your information comes
we
up.
saw his name. It was like he was a legit boxer.
Record sucks. Break
Yeah.
up with him.
He was a good boxer, bro. We were like, oh shit. So fast forward, he gets a call he wants to start boxing him. He asked my dad to be a cut man. He's like, yeah, sounds good. Fast forward even more, the Contender show happened, and they said, hey, we need a set medic and we need a cut man. We're like, boom, put Carlos in there. Boom. So my dad becomes a set medic for the show, The Contender, and then becomes well known on The Contender. And then he's a cut man for all those guys. And then it just continued to go. And then he's a cut man for Ortiz during the Mayweather fight. He's a cut man for Keith Thurman during the
Did you get to go to the fights?
Pocket fight. I've gone to several fights. None of the biggest ones because I've been either busy, but I go to a lot of the Keith Thurman fights.
Nice.
He's been someone I've been watching for a while, and it's fun to be there. But yeah, my dad became one of the most well-known cut men outside of Stitch.
Yeah.
Outside of Stitch, you would probably know my dad.
That's awesome.
And he's still doing that now?
Slowing
is he
down. He's
slowing
getting
down?
older.
Yeah.
Him and mom are traveling a lot now.
Yeah.
They're retired. He's trying to enjoy that life, but he wants to do more, but he's getting older.
Yeah, man.
I started doing a little bit of cut band work.
Oh, you did?
Just
You
because
cut-
I just love that shit.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So, you have 2 books.
I have a few little ones, but two books that
ones.
are probably known. Yeah.
So we just got the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th copy after your wife.
Yeah, you guys
or
did.
close to it.
Press.
Yeah, hot off the
close
press.
to
This
it.
box showed up last night, and I brought him.
So yeah, we're gonna be doing a signing for 100 people, maybe more, at the military appreciation event that he'll be at this year. So he'll be signing books there, and
That's what weekend sets it?
March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd this year.
1st, 2nd, 3rd.
My home in South Carolina. It's an amazing event. You came to the first one. You spoke
Yep.
there.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't heard
Best
Rocco
auction
speak,
ever.
it was the best auction ever. Everyone keeps making fun of me. Remember when my wife was bidding? Were you there when my wife was
yeah.
bidding against me at the auction?
I was there.
Is
Yeah,
it?
she won the
'Cause he
Hulk
had
Hogan bet, and she's
Yeah.
like hiding, just raising her hand. It went from like 25 to 4,500. Sick.
Best story. And then I was bidding on the first ever Mayans patch. I got it last year.
You got it.
I
Yeah,
finally
he-
got
yeah,
it.
he
I
won it
couldn't
last year.
outbid
You got
the
that-
brother from California.
Oh
He's-
yeah,
yeah,
that guy
he spent
paid, yeah.
fi-
He was a special forces
Special
dude.
forces guy.
Yeah, he paid
Fifth
some
group.
5,000
It
something.
was almost
right?
yeah. And when he went up there and everybody's looking at me, and I remember what I said.
Yeah.
They go, do we got 4,500 out of Mel? And I go, man, for 4,500, I'll just join the Hells Angels and get my real patch back. Remember when I said that? I go, I'm tapping, bro. You got it. He got it for like $5,000.
So you got last year's?
I got it for last year for like
Yeah,
22,
Last year's
2,500.
auction was insane. Like
Yeah.
we had so many items donated that we have like 30 items still left over because like it was just like a long process, but it was freaking unbelievable. Like it was an amazing event. Nemo Arms came in. We had a handgun course, a long gun shooting. We had archery. We had coyote hunt one night. We did Drew Coleman, our PA with Core, did a bleed stop blunt trauma course that was like mind blowing. We had MMA. It was just a blast, man. And there's a huge section for like the kids all set up. They had their own BB gun course. It was really, really, really cool. Archery for them. It was a blast. And our speakers were awesome. One thing I'm excited about to have you this year is Rocco has an amazing message, and he relates baseball to it, and it's it really connects with anybody that, you know, baseball's an easier sport than football to understand, and like the reality of it and the way that he explains the story is just like impeccable. It was just, he spoke the first year and it was just awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I do? I try and show up with a new thing every time.
Oh shit, man. We'll have to
No,
speak
it's
twice
okay.
then.
It's okay. No, it's because every time I show up, I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna talk that one again because in case someone was there, I'm gonna change it up. So I always find something, an inspiration for whatever I'm gonna talk about that day. Yeah.
So with your kids now, how do you, because, you know, we just talked about before with John on here, and, you know, his son has stage 4 cancer. I think you met John before. And, you know, he went from 380 pounds down to 270 is what he said.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have a lot of people that call with excuses.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a great, like Mike can even chime in about, you know, oh, I don't work out, you know, I don't need testosterone, like stuff like that. And it motivates people to.
Yeah, I think the I don't work out thing, I think, is probably the most common when you hear. And I tell everybody, listen, you know, we have several guys that don't work out. Guys legitimately just need this to wake up in the morning, go to work, and function at their highest level. Even if it means playing catch in the backyard with their kids, having the energy to do that. It's just, quality of life. So you don't need to work out only to be on.
Well, it's funny because the guy will get on the phone with me or something like that, and he's like, "Yeah, you know, Mel, my wife don't want me taking steroids." I'm like, and neither do we.
Shit, bro.
So you're right at the right team,
35,
right?
bro.
Like,
You're 35. Make some fucking choices.
You don't want me taking steroids. I'm like, okay, yeah, either do we. Well, testosterone is not, it's a hormone, not a steroid. I go, yes, bodybuilders figure it out. Take a bunch more of testosterone, it'll help the muscle. But, you know, that old conception, you know, that's that old misconception.
I've had many conversations with wives and 3-way calls.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, one too many probably. So talk to like the person out there that's like making excuses. I know you do a lot of like the motivational stuff. You do a lot of, you mentor people, you coach people. I'm sure your book probably drives a lot into like, you know, making sure that you're in a good mental state. Because I mean, you're a big believer that you just had a big event. And,
Yeah, we do a lot of wellness stuff and like accountability shit.
And so the guy out there that's just not getting off the sofa, dude, because like I don't think you have too much time to sit in the sofa.
No, I don't sit around very often at all. No, I'm still going to college, trying to get a master's now, and you know, always working on something new. But you know, I have little kids, and that's even gave me even more of a big of a boost to do something, you know. And I could probably make probably the most excuses of like my time being busy, being someone who worked in Hollywood, who flew home every weekend for 6 years just to be with their kids. A guy who wrote a book during the time of that, finished a degree during the time of that, who wrote a scripts during the time. Like I'm the guy that multitasks more than anyone I could even think of, but. Fitness has been probably the biggest challenge of my life, trying to stay on top of, and I go up and down. But for me, what recently I've been doing things is like, I guess as a father of kids who are still in the house and actively engaged, I find ways of not interrupting their schedule, or else it messes with my head. So if I'm working out in the middle of the day with just my wife, that's easy. But if I'm trying to work out at night and my kids are home, I feel guilty. So instead of feeling guilty, what time will I be sacrificing, and that's not theirs, and that's early morning. It's kind of like a Jocko thing, that 4:30 in the morning, that 5 o'clock in the morning. I can wake up at 4:35 in the morning and work out for an hour and a half and come home and everyone's still asleep. They didn't even know I was gone. So I don't feel fucking guilty. And that for me is like the biggest thing, is I need to not feel guilty, because I genuinely want to be a father who's relevant in their lives. And I just, for some reason, I can't get that out of my head when I'm sitting with them. But like, hey guys, I'm going to take about an hour and a half and go run. Instead,
because you know, they want your time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all the kids want.
Right. And so like the only way I can get around that, and I think that's a lot of men, a lot of family men can use that excuse. They have to be willing to do it in a time where the kids are not awake. That's actually when I write too. I write early in the morning and late at night. Like I don't really write throughout the day unless the kids are at school. My wife is busy. But I do. That's like when my busiest times are when they're asleep, because I don't feel guilty taking their time. And you know, one of the other things is we've learned is accountability. You know, accountability circles, accountability groups. You know, I have groups of friends who push me and I push them. Yeah. And that's been huge. I mean, watching you guys on social media, that helps me as well. You know what I mean? Watching Nick do his fucking thing, I'm like, man, fuck your abs, dog. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's a thing where like, but my point
I see one more picture of those fucking abs, Nick.
Like, I got it, bro.
No, you know, I tell him all the time, I'm like, bro, I go, because he's like, yeah, I go, lost some weight. He showed me his abs. I go, bro, you know what we used to say back in the day? He goes, what? I go, abs are for male strippers and dudes that want to get on bodybuilding stages. I go, forget the abs, bro.
Well, it's this funny thing.
No,
Like,
dude, he's in shape, man. He fucking did a transformation. If
he
you look at
did.
him
Yeah.
10 years ago, dude.
no, for sure.
at him
crazy.
6
But-
years ago.
But that's the thing is like, as much as he doesn't call me to be accountable, he doesn't have to. I follow him on social media,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like the tertiary effects of his posts. It still affects me because he's my friend. I'm watching, like, man, good on him. I should keep pushing. And so as much as I'm creating a world that very few veterans are in right now, like in Hollywood, as a writer in Hollywood, and also publishing these books and things like that, like I'm creating a space for myself, but that doesn't mean I can forget about who I was and who I want to be. And so watching those guys, it does inspire me. And so these accountability circles are pretty important to me. And so I have group texts of several different groups of men that I've been, I wouldn't even say mentorship. It's like we hold each other accountable for our actions. There's a guy in my group right now. He's been with me for about 7 months in our group. We do these calls every Wednesday, whatever. But he says he's been wanting to lose weight for 7 months and he hasn't moved. And I said, cool, man. December 1st, if you're not at the weight you say you're going to be, you're out of the group. Like, I'll kick you the fuck out. Why is that? And he was hurt by it. I said, don't be hurt by it. Like, if you want me to hold you accountable, I'm holding you accountable, right? And like, if that's what I need to do is like to make it feel ugly, be like, sorry, man, we don't want you in the group no more because you're not holding yourself accountable, right? And that's what these accountability groups are important for. It's like, you gotta hold, if you say you want to do something and you're not doing it, well then fucking
Yeah, exactly.
why
What
you
do
you
fucking
want me to
talk
do?
shit? Like,
Yeah.
let me hold you accountable, saying if you say you're gonna do it, get it done.
An hour a day.
Right, exactly.
It's super important, I think, for everybody who's got a busy schedule. You need at least 1 hour a day to yourself. Like, work it around your kids. You
Yep.
said you wake up early, shut the phone off, block everything out, and just take care of yourself.
Yeah, it's also where I audiobook. It's like I knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. If I'm doing cardio for 45 minutes, just audiobook a couple chapters.
I think it's we see all of the guys that are part of all of our team that we see and stuff, very diversified. We just don't put all our focus in one thing. You have to, I'm a family man, grandfather, my daughter's 38. I got a 16 and a 9-year-old grandbaby. So, you have to put that time in there and not just be focused on our projects or, 100% just core medical, 100% your acting and stuff. Without that diversity, it's where you at, right?
Yeah,
you
I
have
agree.
to.
There's what a lot of guys have been doing is what I push a lot of guys to writing. It's just something that's worked for me, but maybe a lot of people don't realize how therapeutic writing can be. But like, if you're writing, that means you actually have to conceptualize whatever you're going to write. You put it on paper and then you read it back to yourself. And that in itself is a therapeutic kind of response, right? It's almost like talk therapy with yourself. And so I do things like I write down like, hey, next year I said I'm going to write this book. I said I'm going to write it, and I fucking did it. I said I was going to get a degree, and I did it. I'm going to get my master's degree in psychology, and all this stuff is written down. So it's like I've attained a lot of the goals I've said I was going to do by writing down like the path of how I was going to do it. So it's kind of like almost like people have these motivational boards.
Visualization.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I visualize it. I genuinely manifest these things by believing I can do it. And
How many notebooks do you have at your house?
Bro, my phone is filled. I probably have 4,000 notes in this damn thing, and it's just like every day. I wrote something on the way here, right in the plane, and so it's just something that I do is like, what's next for me, and everything I've put down on paper, I've been able to accomplish. It might be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, but I've done like
Nothing falls behind.
no. I get it done, and like
Cross it off.
yeah, it's just like next. But then when you get to that peak, what's next, right? That's my problem. Is like I get there, I got my degree, and I was like, that was dope. Fuck, now what? And I was like, well, let me roll again. I'm gonna roll for my master's, and so that's what I did,
Sick.
And so like, I wrote this book. I already know like I have 2 more back of my head that I'm already noting out, and I'm gonna get those done. And it's just like, well, this one I want New York Times bestselling author. That's my dream. New York Times bestselling author. Get this one. So that's what I'm hoping to do because I think I wrote a good enough book that I think the United States of America alone would be like interested in reading, and my goal is to become a New York Times bestselling author.
And what does that consist of? It's how many books
It's
get
kind
sold
of
by
a, it's kind of a weird thing. All you need to sell is 5,000 to 10,000 in the first week. So it sounds like a lot, but I think just based on social media numbers alone and marketing
Sure.
and everything else,
Yeah.
all the podcasts I've been in,
people-
of 2 here, 5 here, whatever,
Yeah.
it starts to knock itself out. And then on top of that, the publishing company Rocco Press and himself, they'll be doing their own marketing, and so I imagine they're going to sell just because they're going to sell. In the
Now,
top.
does that start this week?
It starts September 14th is the week, but all
September?
pre-orders. November 14th is the day it comes out, but all pre-orders before that will work towards it.
Count towards that?
Yeah,
That's not just hard copy, right? That's
anything, audiobook,
digital.
yeah, anything you buy.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, I
Oh,
hope.
yeah.
Yeah, you're good,
for
bro.
sure.
100% good.
Yeah, with all our media and
so
stuff.
you just did an event What was it?
The light diffuse.
Yeah. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so the light diffuse is kind of like a. Do I have a sticker still on here?
Yeah, you sure do.
Yeah,
You
but
can't see it.
that's the
That's
old,
the style, bro.
that's the West Coast way, right?
That's right.
Leave
I
the
normally
sticker
take it
on.
off, but it's on there.
You know.
But light diffuse is a men's wellness retreat and is to focus on men's mental health, not just.
Mike can't go. That's good.
So it's. I used to focus a lot on veterans, and then it kind of like a lot of law enforcement was hitting me up because I was law enforcement as well. So then I used to focus on both, and then men was like, "Bro, is there anything for me?" And I'm like, "Wait, hold up." All of us are struggling, right? All the guys go through shit. And so we created just a men's wellness retreat. And in that retreat, we kind of mirrored a lot of the path that I took from getting myself into a place where I feel I'm healthier, right? And so healing trauma, identifying these key areas in our lives, healthy relationships, healthy finances, right? And it all starts with blood work. So everyone who went to the retreat did their blood work first, did core medical, right? So that we can get a good baseline on what's going on hormonally, all right? And then they also did an assessment tool that we have through the company called Gallant Few, another good nonprofit. That is an assessment tool that identifies their health in mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and professionally. And so we can identify anywhere that it's potential crisis, and right away we start directing them to either, whether it's finances, it's relationships, whether it's fitness, whatever it is.
So it's tailor-made for each person that's there.
Yeah, so everyone's there right away. We have a foundation of who they are when they show up. And as we already know.
Oh, you already did your research on them.
As soon as you know, they had to do the blood work before they got there, and they did their assessment tools. So we already know everyone has like these areas that we're going to focus on. So by the time they leave, they'll have answers for that specific area. But at the same time, they're going to participate in the events. The events we had at this one was it was a plant medicine. We did combo, but which is the venom, not even the venom, it's like the poisonous saliva of a frog, like in the Amazon, right?
What
and
does
then,
that do to
That's
you?
the DMT, right?
That one's not. No, so these are non-psychedelic. So this
non-psychedelic.
one's
I
non-psychedelic.
know
This
what
weekend was,
kind of stuff you guys were getting into.
Yeah. No, this weekend was non-psychedelic.
Imagine 40 guys fucking all whack out of their mind.
A Joe Rogan special.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Core Medical.
If Core Medical said, "Hey, we want to do a weekend where we want to do, some serious plant medicine and with psychedelics, we could create that. I can manifest that for sure."
Yeah.
But on this one, it was really kind of dipping the toe in the water of different areas of healing. We did that combined with Hape and Sanangra, I believe it is. It's a drop in the eye. It's like a very spicy drop in the eye, and it's also tobacco shot into your nose. This with all of them together, it creates a really an experience that is. It could be different for every single one in the room, but with the intention of healing, with the intention of being.
Can you
a better
feel anything?
person. Oh fuck yes, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not what you think. Like the guys I couldn't do compo because we're still dealing with the cardiologist and my heart stuff, right?
Okay.
But that was creating a very internal heavy heat for people, and that heat can manifest in tears, can manifest in anger, can manifest in multiple different things.
Oh shit.
I did the other two, the eye drops and the nose, and it created kind of a form of clarity. Like it almost like opened up all your sinuses, but also almost like a punch in the head of that. And it made you really feel alert and aware and like in the presence. It was really cool. And
So
so
they shut tobacco up your nose?
yeah, it's a very
I mean, I've drank it before in my dip spit by mistake.
no, they go, done that a few times.
Yeah.
But it's they put the tobacco powder in the end of it, and they blow it right into your.
No shit.
And
Really?
dude, it's a fucking experience. So that was just one part of it. Then we did Wim Hof therapy, Wim Hof
Breathing.
Yeah, the Wim Hof breathing and cold water exposure.
Just so you know, he's a Jeopardy champion.
Yeah,
Dude, he fucking knows
Depends
everything.
on the category.
So then we brought a bunch of like specialists who are experts in their field, and so I brought an EMDR specialist who again is one of the guys who runs the Gallant Few nonprofit, great place. I brought in Matt Larson, who is a kind of a guru for the military combatives. He was the creator and founder of the Army Combatives program, but also now has his doctrine in psychology and focuses a lot on moral injury. And so what moral injury essentially is, a lot of people talk about post-traumatic stress, but not everyone has post-traumatic stress. They believe a lot of it is moral injury, and it's just kind of like seeing or having an experience with something that made you feel a type of way, right? So a lot of veterans struggle with innocent people, collateral damage in combat. Women and kids. Women and kids who were killed in combat. It affects you. I had an experience with it overseas as well, and
It's got to affect everybody. Just
right.
in
No,
different
absolutely.
ways. Yeah,
and so
dude.
when you're
not human otherwise.
right? So the post-traumatic stress of that is now starting to be identified. That most of that is a moral injury, and that is what people will struggle to cope with.
I've heard therapists say that certain therapists say that. No, it's you.
No, it's mine. Yeah. You can take it.
Cool. Go ahead.
I've heard
He
people
wants to
say
record.
that therapists say that that PTSD, in their opinion was a misdiagnosis, that what you just were talking about
Moral injury, yeah.
is more of what that means, like, in that certain workarounds will definitely help dramatically. I'm assuming
Right. Right. So what we're doing is trying to help shift perspectives.
That's it. That's
And
exactly
so we bring him in to explain that. And then I brought in a couple other, I guess there would be thinkers in their area of expertise. And one of the guys is Stoicism. So Stoicism is a really cool way of training thought. And so I brought in these experts who talk
Can you talk about that real quick?
Stoicism is a tough one. I don't know. I'm not an expert in it. I've read several of the
Mike,
books.
go on.
Right. Yeah, please. Yeah.
It's not my Jeopardy category.
But Stoicism is like...
like affirmations, quotes, things like that, right?
it's these type of way of thinking and seeing life. It's a different perspective of it, and it's a really cool way of understanding everything. Like, we all go through pain. Life is pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just part of it. So things like that, but there's way deeper. There's books out there that you can get from, what was it, Marcus Aurelius, I believe it is. He wrote one. He wrote one called it pretty much was his journal. And they were able to print it out into it's a Stoicism, like kind of a foundational book that you can find. But these are trains of thoughts. It's changing perspectives. If you see, so in the case of moral injury, if you think about Stoicism and also you think about just life and reality, everything dies a miserable death. Everything. We do, animals do, whatever it is. So if everything dies a miserable death, then why are we so hurt by people dying? It's reality is we all die. It's the thing is detaching from that reality and be like, okay, they died, but they lived a good life kind of concept. So
got it.
Changing perspective.
Seeing the positive side of the situation.
Yeah, just a different perspective because we're very doom and gloom, right? A lot of the military marketing has been doom and gloom, 22 a day, all that shit that I don't support or I don't promote. I promote positive messaging. And so in this weekend, we didn't talk about suicide. The word wasn't mentioned the whole fucking weekend intentionally because it was talking about growth. It was talking about moving forward towards goals. It was talking about improving health. It was talking about healing trauma. A lot of us, it's not just military trauma. It's life trauma, right? It's financial trauma. There's relationship trauma. There's combat trauma, and there's also childhood trauma, right? You know what I mean? And so people aren't healing those things, and what we're doing is we're stacking them, we're kind of hiding them, and we're drinking, we're using drugs, we're doing everything else besides actually addressing the problem. And so when you do that, you start to create this, I call it almost like redlining your life, you know what I mean? And when you redline it, at one point there's crisis. And so we're trying to mitigate crisis so when people focus on suicide, you're focusing on the end state, like terrible shit, right? The worst thing. I'm not focusing on this. I'm focusing on how to mitigate this. And the only way you mitigate this is teaching people how to live better. And so in our weekend is teaching people how to live a healthier, well-rounded lifestyle so they never get to a point of feeling like this. And in that weekend, we're also giving them tools to walk away with. So now you have tools that are considered resiliency tools, right? So that you can manage it when you feel a type of way. Your wife maybe cheats on you or you find yourself in financial struggle. There's tools to help you kind of get your mind back in a good place and say, okay, what can I do? Well, there's nothing I can do but move forward. Right? So when someone calls me and goes, man, my wife's going to leave me. We're going through a divorce. I'm like, okay, cool. What's next? Like, what do you mean what's next? I was like, well, that's done. Right? Like, that's done.
Yeah.
So is it salvageable? No. Then it's done. Now let's work on how's your finances. Figure that out. You know what size boxers you wear, bro? Because I know what it's like to get divorced and then go to a store and buy boxers and you show up and put them on. You're like, fuck, these don't fit.
Yeah.
Because I've never bought boxers for myself. You know
how
what I
to
mean?
turn the
wife did
laundry.
it, yeah.
Exactly.
Laundry.
Yeah. Do you know
I
all
was
the
stuck,
fucking?
bro.
Yeah. Do you know all
I
the
destroyed
bills?
more fucking clothes.
Absolutely. Do you know all the bills? Bro, I was getting calls 2 months later. You haven't paid in 2 months. Like, fuck, I didn't know this existed.
Yeah.
All these things is like, we got to stop.
Mel, you might want to figure.
I would be lost. I not to get off track, but I got a funny joke in the house. My wife, 45, her mom's 65. Her mom's an amazing lady. And I told Mel, listen, everything that you do, I don't know where we bank, I don't know what's in the bank, the bills, everything you do, show your mother. Because if the good Lord takes you home before me, I'm moving her in. Because I just can't get no hooker off the street and be like, run my life.
Yeah.
She'll date rape me.
Yes.
Right, she'll date rape me. I'll be broke. Sidney, I need to live in the back room. What happened to all your money? I let this girl come in. So I tell her, tell your mother everything. Because like you said, we're lost, right?
Yeah. We get so dependable on the relationship that as soon as you lose that, we're lost. And that feeling of lost is terrible, right? And I've had guys call me like, they want to end it because of that alone. Like, hold up, dude, still a lot more life.
Yes.
That's done. What's next?
So temporary, dude.
Yeah, exactly. It is, but you feel like it's forever, dog.
I was in the biggest depression too when that happened, man. It was brutal. The one thing I should have done better is reach out to someone who went through it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like a big thing for me. You know, I thought my shit was done, dude. I was like, this is crazy. She took every penny freaking I had.
Yeah.
Like nothing left, dude. Either that or she'd be sitting here doing the podcast with you guys. Those are my two choices. Either take all my money or be my partner at core.
The cool thing about the team that we have and the versatility that we have of everything, we have a lot of patients, and Mikey, you could attest to this, that we'll need to talk to a Rocco, we'll need to talk to a Mel that we've been through.
They do,
and we
dude,
do,
it's
and that's pretty
crazy.
cool how we do that. And
Well, I think when you change someone's life, they kind of look at you like, when Mike has patients that like he's very close with that have become a really like amazing relationships with.
I vent to him sometimes.
Oh yeah.
become
it's-
family.
And
that's my boy.
The thing is we've heard the. It's hard for a dude sometimes to call and be like, "Hey man, I can't have sex anymore, dude."
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you solve that equation.
Yeah.
And they're like, they're so fucking grateful, especially the military guys.
Yeah.
Dude, the gratitude that comes, like Mel gets fan mail at the office. Like it's fucking insane. It's nuts, dude.
You know, we are the foundation of what else do we have is the VA. That's hard. VA is hard. The customer service there is rough, right? Like getting seen by a doctor is rough. All of it's hard. So when you finally go somewhere and they have an answer for you, and the customer service is fucking awesome, and you almost feel like it's a friendship relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's where
Yes.
why wouldn't you? I'm grateful for this shit, dude. You know what I mean?
You want to know the easiest thing about it? Is it's easy. All you got to do is just care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which
I mean
is-
that's been it's been. If you want to get fired, that's all you don't have to do. Like, dude, like I basically, I try to leave everybody alone in the office. Right? We grew 50% in staff members this past year, and I have a saying: I hate new personalities. So I'm always trying to figure out ways to increase their bandwidth, whether it's software, AI, wherever the hell it is, or minimizing the amount of orders that have to be placed per day, and taking protocols from 10 to 20 weeks. So now his touch points are 2 times a year rather than 5.5 times a year. Like all those things. But the reality of it is we need people like to move forward, and the community inside work and outside work is, if you don't care, dude, you're not in my fucking life.
Yeah.
And it's real simple. It's self-cleansing. I mean, how many people have I executed from my friendships in the last?
Of course.
Bro, I get the calls too from Houston. We talk and you're like, bro, and I'm like, oh my god.
We're like
know,
a
dude.
jiu-jitsu school. We treat everybody like the new white belt coming in. You better survive. You know what I mean?
Getting back to the caring thing, I had a new guy, who was going to be a patient come on, not too long ago. And, when he get his blood work back, his PSA was high, right? So he calls me up and he goes, hey, man, you told me that I could become a patient, and I go, well, yeah. What's the problem? He goes, well, can I send you my blood work? I said, sure, send me it over. And I look at it and he goes, I'm 350 in the range. I go, yeah, your lowest could be, but your PSA is high as could be. We can't give you testosterone.
What does that mean?
Your prostate.
Oh.
His prostate was enlarged, right? And he goes to me,
And that could be a lot of things. Like a lot of ejaculation can cause it. It's true.
Riding motorcycles.
Riding motorcycles can
the
cause
prostate, but we can't. The doctor's not going to prescribe if the prostate's high. He's got to go figure out.
It could be prostate cancer.
Could be prostate cancer. So he goes like this. He goes, I don't give a fuck about that. And I go, well, we do. We do. I'd rather have you mad at me than our doctor giving you testosterone and you're in the middle of prostate cancer and furthering it around like that. He hung up on me.
That's
He
what
was so mad,
I called Mike. So I have AFib, right? And we're still trying to figure this out, right? And I just went through a brain clinic and 2 week brain clinic. And the brain clinic says that they can help me with it. It's not a hard thing. It's more of a brain thing coming from a TBI. So we're trying to manage this.
You had a couple of those in you.
Right. Yeah, just a few. And, I've been off TRT for, I think it's probably been 8 months now or something like that. And I'm like, Mike, bro, I need to get back on. He goes, hell no, dog, I'm not doing it. And I call him like, Mike, bro, come on, do me a solid. He's like, no, dude. And we just had a conversation right now. He goes, fly in here, we'll do a stress test, we'll get your heart checked. And I was like, all right, cool. Because I'm ready to get back on and I feel good about it. I haven't had any incidents. We just can't get a cardiologist to give me the thumbs up yet because it's so foreign to a cardiologist what AFib is in the sense of, is it serious or not? My age group is a really weird age group to have AFib.
Yeah.
So like everyone's kind of dabbling around and they don't know. And they also don't know testosterone. So immediately they're like, So I'm like, I'm gonna have to come to your doctors, and we're gonna have to do the full stress test and get the approval, or not approval, whatever it is. But I need to get it done because.
How hard has it been being off like for that long? Is it?
Bro, I went through a hard depression, man. I went through a hard depression right to the end of. So my AFib reoccurred on episode 8 of season 5, the episode I wrote. So I'm sitting there watching it all, and it was kind of a combined of like, we think I wasn't drinking water at all because I'm acting, but I'm also writing on the show. So I'm sitting there helping produce the show. And just running and gunning pretty much the whole day for the past 5 days. All of a sudden, I go to my little my trailer, and my heart fell off, and I was like, damn.
You felt it, right?
And, I'm symptomatic. I feel it, and
Yeah.
so I felt it, and I was like, shit. Call the medic. So we called the medic. They called the ambulance. Yeah, my heart was AFib. Weird thing in California, they don't shock you back. They're just like, well, here, take these 2 medications.
Don't.
No, dude. So
What?
So I still have to finish the show. I got 2 more episodes I got to knock out. So for the last 2 episodes, we cut out testosterone just in case right now. It's kind of like shut everything off.
Yeah.
And then let's focus on these 2 heart medications. So I was taking one for my blood pressure, and then one for thinning. Yeah. One for heart
clotting.
regulation,
Yeah.
rate regulation, and then one for And so I did that for 3 months until the show was done, and then during that last those last 2 months, I felt like, man, I'm going through a depressive state, and I don't know how to shake it. And it was tough for the family because it was tough more for me and my wife. She knew. She's like, you good? I was like, I'm not good. I don't feel. Bro, I felt, it's hard to explain the feeling, but a lot of pressure, and I say pressure, not like something pressure on me, and not like heart pressure when people say heart attack, but more like I felt the world was coming down on me, and I didn't have an answer for it. And it was hard,
Were
man.
you anxious?
Absolutely, bro. I'd have to go for a run. I'd have to go for like a run just to kind of burn energy because I didn't know what to do. I'd tell my wife like, I gotta go, and my eyes would be watery, bro. I'd be like, I gotta go, and she goes, go, and I get my shoes on. I just walk, and I'd walk, and I try and run a little bit. I walk, whatever I can do to just kind of like diffuse that feeling, and then eventually, it went away. And this was probably it took about 3 months of it just like seriously hitting hard, and then it went away. And now I'm in a good place where like I'm able to work out again. I'm figuring it out slowly. But I can't get onto the regimen that I used to have yet because we can't get the approvals of it. So we're slowly waiting to get.
So
to
where's
that.
the AFib at in the stage? Do you taking the medication still?
No,
or is it
no.
gone?
I got reset back in BAMC in Texas because it's a military.
They did it there.
Yeah,
Did
military.
you do an ablation?
Yeah.
No, we were trying to get the ablation. We were planning on getting the ablation. The insurance, because I retired from the military, the insurance changed. They didn't accept it. So, but now we're at a point where we
How the
might
hell
not
can you
need-
do what you've done your entire life and then not fucking pay for that?
I mean,
It's such a pain. in
and the
butt.
ablation works.
Yeah.
I mean, Melissa's father was 72 and he had Hulk, was an AFib and stuff. He got the ablation and stuff. But here's the problem. When you do get the ablation, the worst thing for AFib is alcohol.
Oh, I'm sober.
And
man.
I know you're
Yeah,
sober,
yeah.
but the worst thing for AFib, so some people can't, they get the ablation done and they can't quit drinking.
Yeah.
And then they go right back in the AFib. That is the worst thing because just
absolutely.
think if we drink too much the night before, the next day our electrolytes are all off.
Yep.
We're getting PVCs, heart palpitations and stuff. So that's the worst thing. So some guys can't get out of the way. But with a guy like you, Rocco, you don't drink.
No.
The ablation, that
should be
should
perfectly
cure
fine.
that should cure the.
Well, that was the
problem.
weird thing. I was set up to do it, and then I went to this brain clinic, and they said they don't think I need an ablation. I need to keep working on the TBI. And so,
Might as well go that route first.
right, so we're going that route first,
Fuck
and
yeah.
we've been doing all the TBI has been doing different homework assignments really for my eyes and stuff like that. That helps. I guess it's called the vestibular.
Was it the same clinic that Cody went to?
Yes, he's the one who actually introduced me to it.
So
Yeah.
he told me. So he was just here, and we were on the airboat, and he was talking to me about that, and it's pretty amazing. What they
Bro,
do.
it is the crazy. It's called Resiliency Brain Health out of Dallas, Texas. If anyone's curious about it,
He
there's
told me it changed his life.
dude. There's several. I have not. I'll tell you this. I'm not on the edge as I used to be, and I've learned so much about my own. Like you're looking for answers for shit. I found a lot of answers, and it felt good to know that. And they changed my diet. They helped me. There's a lot of things they do there that it's kind of like a full body experience, not just the brain experience, and which is cool because they teach you everything about your body, why your balance is off, why they do your blood work as well, and they tell you all the other things. They try and get everything regulated in your body because your brain kind of manages everything. But if you're only focusing on the brain, you're not seeing these key elements. And so I have one foot that's kind of kicked out. I didn't know that, and that is probably why I have a lot of also back issues. But that's kicked out. They say because the brain thinks it needs more stability on that side, so it's doing it. So now you fix the brain and balances back out.
The back pain goes away.
Right. So it's like,
It's fucking wild,
up.
dude.
Yeah.
Connected. We
So
are
are they trying to
connected.
rewire? Are they trying to rewire
It's
pathways?
they're exactly. And it's more like they're trying to recorrect a lot of the things that it's got from TBI. It's blown it out, right? So it's not bad systems. So they're trying to put everything back into a memory. So it's cool. They'll like my heart rate. They were able to drop my heart rate by just moving my eyes left and right, left and right, left and right, up and down, left and right, and then my heart rate dropped all the way down. And then they seal that in a way where like they'll add scent to it, and now your memory will like, okay, cool.
Remember that heart? That's wild.
Yeah,
dude.
it's all this stuff that like.
Cody's huge on those oils.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
He
Yeah,
came
he was
into my
telling us about it.
backyard. I use two oils inside my sauna, and his wife's like, "You can't use these anymore. I'm sending you the right ones. Throw them away."
Yeah, Chuck and I were talking about it too.
It's
really versed.
and he gave me this oil. I got to ask him what kind it was.
Put it behind our ear. Right?
Behind the ear, and it freaking. I was like, "This is really
calming.
fucking weird."
Yeah.
We
dude.
took it up. Right. We put it at breakfast.
It
remember?
worked. I noticed when I was driving. I'm like, "Damn, dude, this guy just cut me off, and I want to kill him." And you'd understand that if you drove around here all the time. Dude. It's the worst drive ever.
Ooh.
I've driven with you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks.
yeah.
Oh,
You
come
need
on,
that.
guys, get out of here.
Good call. You need them oils.
Just
Get out of here, dude. Oh, that's funny.
Driving with Sidney, I'm like, "Where's the dispensary, bro? Can you stop in? Can you give me a Cheech and Chong one, please?"
Fuck you. So one thing I wanted to talk to you about, and you can take this however, what direction that you want to. You're a subject matter expert in our borders.
Yeah.
And we've spoken a lot about that, and you've explained to me why different administrations use the border. Can you talk about kind of what's going on right now in our border? There's a lot of people that there's I don't think really a normal walk of life like myself, Mike, even really understand what goes on down there. I know you were there.
I was just there 2 days ago. Yeah.
I'm dying to hear from you, like your point of view, because like you've lived there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. This subject is hard to. If I want to try and give you everything, so I'll start. But like, there's so many different, I guess, branches off that tree that created what we have today. So currently, right now, everyone sees on the news this mass influx of immigrants, right? And some people are like, that's fake news, and this, it's not. So when you see influxes like that, it tends to change from San Diego to El Centro to currently right now Del Rio, right? The Del Rio sector, for some reason, has a massive influx of illegal immigration. When it was last month, I think they received over 10,000 bodies, right? Apprehended, processed, yeah. And so
10,000?
10,000. Yeah, 10,000. One day it was
And they're for all over the world.
all over the world. Yeah, so South America obviously is the majority based on just how close it is to our country, but you have a lot of exotics, coming through as well, and exotics would be something like Africans, Chinese, and so on and so forth. And some of those countries are determined as countries that can claim asylum, so they're seeking asylum, and so they're given opportunities to come into America. And so it's not like open the door and they all run through. It is, they come up and they're called give ups. They walk right up to the agent, right? They say, "Hey, sir," and then boom, okay, you're here illegally? Yes. Whether in whatever language they say yes, cool, now it's time to do our process. If you enter the country outside of a port of entry, the port of entry is what you drive through and you show me this or whatever the case. If you enter the country from our side or our Mexican side, it is illegal if you do it outside of a port of entry, no matter what. Like, I can't cross into Mexico either.
Yep,
It'd be
got it.
against the law.
Check your passport,
So, yeah.
go through the process.
Right, you have to go through. So anytime anyone comes across the border outside of a port of entry, they have broken the law. The broken law is Title 8, it is USC 1325 is what they'll be charged with, and that is entering the country illegally outside of a port of entry. Everyone who gets processed has a chance to determine what their case is. And so when they come to the Border Patrol, if we apprehend them, the only thing a Border Patrol agent does is apprehend, right? We're worried about Homeland Security. We're worried about safeguarding human life, as well as apprehending anyone who's charging anyone who's entered the country illegally. So if they come to me, boom, I bring them in. I take them to a processing center. Right now we have processing centers. Originally we didn't have those. Now there's such a massive influx that they've created processing centers to kind of mitigate the streamline the whole process. And they come in, and so what you do from there, you say, "Okay, are you here illegally? Yes. What's your name?" They find out the name, they find out their information, they roll their fingerprints, and they find out their country of origin. And in this is the time when they say, "Are you claiming any kind of political asylum at this time?" And they say yes. If you say yes, well, then you go into the process of anyone who's claiming political asylum. The Border Patrol agent doesn't determine the case. That's not a Border Patrol agent's job. He is to process exactly what they say they have. It's not our job, right?
So what do you mean process to say? What?
So if you say, if you come to me and you say, hey, I'm here illegally, I'm from wherever, and I'm here seeking asylum, I say, okay. I don't ask you any more questions because it's not my job to determine whether that's true or false. I'm not here to investigate that call. I'm here to do your paperwork to get you to an immigration judge who then will determine that case, right? Because that's not my job.
So are they apprehended during that period of time, or are they just
So that's the problem. So
they just don't show up to court?
Right. So what happens is they go through this process, and since there's such a massive influx and we don't have anything in our system to house them, what we do is we hand that packet over, and we turn it over to ICE. ICE, which is now called ERO, right? ERO is the one who transports them to the next place. If there's nowhere that has housing, there's nothing that can hold them, they're giving them a notice to appear. It's called an NTA.
Currently now, how available is housing?
None, zero. It's completely maxed out. There's nothing. So everyone currently right now who is seeking asylum and doesn't have a criminal record, like if we see a criminal record, that's a whole different case. Then they get a notice to appear and they get released into America and to show up to an immigration court dates at a later time.
How late?
Some of those are 5 years.
Wow.
So you have databases from every country that shows the possibility of a criminal record?
Oh, absolutely. Now, we're not able to pull everyone's, but there's a lot of people that come across that have criminal records that we're able to get into. Yeah.
So
we can see guys who, Mexico, easily. We can see if they murder, raped, whatever. As soon as they come across, we catch them. Boom, they get sent right back.
Afghanistan would be difficult.
That's a difficult one, right? Exactly. But unless maybe they've entered our country before and they made a crime and they're trying it again, then yes.
Okay.
So there's different ways. So now, right, there's outliers on that, right? There's people that do have criminal records, but will never catch it, and they come across and they still get allowed. So that's a small percent, but it's a percent that is
all it takes is 1%.
There you go, right? So exactly. But I want to make sure when I'm speaking from objective information. I don't want to give any kind of emotional stance on any of this because I want people to make their own determination on this because it's only fair to do that. You make your own choice and make your own belief on how you see this, but let me give you the right information.
Yeah,
right?
No, that's awesome. That's why I asked the question.
No, absolutely. And so that's what you have right now is anyone who does come over and we notice a criminal record, boom, they're gone. They go right back to the country. There's no question.
You just drop them on the other side of the border and say, see ya.
No, we determine exactly the same process goes. We determine what country of origin it is, and then we call them and let them know, like, hey, we're bringing this guy back. And
how do we get him back?
So
there?
sometimes it's bus, sometimes it's flight.
Have some made multiple attempts?
Oh, absolutely. All the time. There's people that, so if you don't have a criminal record, say you're just a guy that your criminal record consists of you entering illegally and that is all, right? There's certain areas of the border that used to allow you to do it 10, 15 times before they go, all right, come on, guys, that's too much, right? So every border can potentially have a different order in effect, and it would be like, so my time, it was Operation Streamline. Operation Streamline, if you entered the country illegally once, you get jail time. And that'd be 30 days, I believe, at the time. Twice, 6 months. 3 times, 1 year. So what we established was there is a consequence for crossing illegally.
That makes sense.
Right. No, absolutely. But what happened was we almost didn't have anyone crossing illegally. It was very few, which was nice. We're like, okay, cool. This is border immigration. This is what we're doing. We're doing border patrol stuff now. We're stopping it. We're deterring it.
What administration was that under?
That was during Obama.
Okay.
That was during Obama. And then right now, currently, it's not the case, and I think Tucson is trying to do that now, I believe, but right now it is not the case where there is no repercussions for entering illegally, and so that's what we're having a problem. And that is if you're claiming asylum. If you're not claiming asylum, or you're not from a country of origin that has asylum, right? So like a Mexican national can't come here and say I'm claiming political asylum. Like your country has a cartel issue, dude. It's not you can't claim political asylum, right? So Mexicans can't claim that.
But they're here for 5 years without a court date.
Well, no, because if they're here illegally, then you have to determine what the case is. The problem is some of those are coming with family units, and so it changes. It's a wife and 4 kids, or a lot of unaccompanied minors are coming across. What do you do with that? Right? So
send them back to what?
Right. To what? Potential sex trade? We don't know, right? So we do our best to try and manage that as well. And so that's another hard thing. So it's tough. When you're talking immigration, you're talking border patrol, you have to remember there's 2 conversations happening at the same time. There's border security, which is Homeland Security, essentially what was established after 9/11, right? And then there's immigration policy. And both of those have to coexist, and they both have to meet, some kind of balance between them both. Right now, we tend to have a dial that's pushed a little too far, focused on immigration and not so much security, right? That's like this influx right here, the potential for threats, in my opinion, based on like my experiences, like it's higher than normal because we're allowing so many to come in.
So you're definitely, if the scale's close to a red line, this is probably the most close to the red line we've ever been.
Right, and that's the problem that we're seeing it, and I don't understand why currently that's the policy. Even when it was Title 42, it still did the same thing. So there hasn't much hasn't changed. It's really weird. So the administration currently right now, this is what it has, and it's affecting us because we don't have enough resources to manage this.
Where are all these people going right now? Like,
different sanctuary states, New York, Chicago, California. Yeah. In
so all like major cities.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Oh,
sweet.
you can go to an airport. Florida wouldn't have it, but you can go to an airport in San Diego, and you see people walking around with either manila folders, bags holding their stuff in like trash bag kind of things, wearing sweats or some kind of shoes. You'll know that's someone who these like these NGOs, right, are giving them money. It's like a nonprofit organizations.
That's tied to probably an administration.
I don't know. I have no idea. All I'm saying is they're giving them sometimes phones and buying them a plane ticket to a city that they need to go to or want to go to. So it's kind of a tough thing that's happening, and that's why it's a big reason why I wrote the book, was talking because.
So you're not giving your opinion in there. You're just educating.
Yeah, I'm just educating. Yeah, there's an opinion on there how I would probably fix it, but it's not like this. It's an educated how I would educatedly fix it, right?
Well, I mean, what that says to me, dude, is that you basically are telling everyone, hey, man, like I know a lot about this, and like I can probably help a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking.
It's not even. I think
that was a great explanation.
Yeah.
I mean, that was fantastic because I don't get it.
Right.
No, most people don't know what's happening over there. They just see what the news tells them.
Right.
And,
Well, the other thing is you have one side of the argument saying open the borders. You have another side of the argument saying shoot everyone that comes across. And and both of those are like blatantly ignorant. Right.
Yeah.
Like we're a country that is established off of immigration. So we have to always maintain
10,000 people.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we are a country that always has to have immigration because we are the land of opportunity, right? Like that is part of our. Does our country want to maintain having dignity, right? Then we still have an immigration process. The problem is they're not using the immigration process. They're circumventing the process and found a loophole that is working for them, and that affects us. If they use the process, it would be more aligned with what we believe as Americans and what we established originally. And so we want them to do that. The problem is, why would you do that if I'm getting in the country easier this way, right? Why would they even follow our rules when it's easier to do it this way? And so there's a balance that needs to be checked. We're struggling to find that balance.
I like what you said, like that's the land of opportunity, which is cool because like my opinion is like I want to give people opportunities, like I want to help people, I want to see people do better, right? But one thing that comes to my mind is after having thousands and thousands of people over the last 2.5 years, is it? Well,
yeah.
How many on average a day would you say?
I don't know, but the number they just gave out recently was something. Since the administration, it's been close to 8 million have come over illegally and entered into our country. So that is people that have circumvented the system and slipped through, or even processed and allowed through NTAs.
So what that says to me is like, my opinion is to manage that 8 million people before more people come through illegally or not going through the right channels. You kind of have to stop that process because I mean it's putting our entire country in danger, especially right now. It's a pretty bad time to have people here that we don't know what they're all about.
I mean, am I correct by saying this from back in your day to now? Is it a political thing that's going on here? Kind of like these politicians are doing what they're doing for a reason, because obviously we opened it up. Like you said, we've always been the land of opportunity.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So what we land in? We live in a land where you vote, right? We can vote for this stuff. We have to be very adamant about who we vote for and put into office, right? And understand what their immigration policy is. Here's the problem, though. In the past 30, 40, 50 years, every president has only scraped the top of it off.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
And then say it's fixed, and then turn their back on it right away. You know what I mean? And that's the weird part about immigration.
Showed a little bit of progress,
right? A little bit of progress, and then and so this is
they're not finishing.
I try to explain to people like immigration's not a 1 + 1 = 2 answer. It's actually like a 7-layer cake, and you better have the right recipe, or else you're gonna fuck this whole thing up, right? And
Which
it's
has been what's happening,
right. And so we have to have some kind of process that educates illegal immigrants who are trying to come across the right process. We actually have the more streamlined process for illegal immigration. So for legal immigration, people who come over here legally and doing the process the right way, it can take up to 12 fucking years. Why would it take 12 years for someone who really shows like, hey, I'm coming here to fucking work, dog. I'm coming here to invest into this country. I'm here I want to maintain this.
There's a lot of people like that.
A lot of people, and they should have a streamlined process to that, but we don't have that, right? It takes 12 fucking years for a person who's doing it right. It takes 3 days for a person doing it wrong. So now you've incentivized illegal immigration.
Right.
There's got to be a happy medium there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that's one part of it, right? We're educating our South American countries to say, hey, this is what's going on. Counter. I don't even know if I want to say it, but counter information against what the cartel's telling them. Cartel's saying, hey, you can get in this way. Well, we have to counter that and say, no, you can do that, but if you get caught, you're gone. Right, you gotta do it this way. Yeah. We also have to see why are these countries struggling so bad. That what can we do to help them get their country in a place where they would want to stay?
Sense. It seems like that's a better financial.
Multiple layers, right?
Yeah,
all these have to happen. We also have to talk about how about DACA, right? The kids that are here from their parents who came here illegally, but then were born here in country, right? That's if you're born on their soil, you're considered an American citizen. What are you gonna do with them? It's kind of fucking hard to turn our backs on them, but we have to have an answer too. Vivek said on one of the things that I thought was pretty interesting was like, hey, they're coming across here illegally and then they're having a baby here. That's almost like fruit from the poisonous tree in the legal world. So it's interesting. Now, what happens to those kids who've been here for 20 fucking years, still don't have their papers? Then what? What are you gonna do with that? That's fucked up, right? Like, so you have to find a way to answer these questions. At some point, there will have to be a line drawn in the sand, like, hey, these guys are in, these guys are out. Let's fucking manage this. People say close the borders, like, yeah, we're trying. I promise you, we're trying, right? Yeah. But like, it is so hard because the border is so vast and there's so few agents out there. It's maybe 20 on a shift covering 200 miles.
Wow. It's a very difficult.
It's a very difficult job. That's why people argued the fence. The fence was just a tool. The wall is a tool on top of cameras, on top of seismic sensors that help us manage these areas that are fucking hard as fuck to manage.
So what's the energy down there like?
Dude, morale is the lowest. Oh no, so I was just in El Centro. You probably had about, I think, from 200 to 1,000 a day, maybe, and maybe even a week at times. It just depends. But that's not chaotic compared to what Del Rio currently. I said it's all in phases. Right now, Del Rio's the hot spot. Everyone's coming through like crazy. They're trying to get there. They've heard you go there, you can get released faster. The information trickles south, and so that's the spot right now. The cartels are pushing them all through there, or trafficking organizations, or just people saying this is the way to go. Just about I think about 7 months ago, Yuma was the spot where people were just flying in. You know what I mean? And so it kind of shifts with depending on how fast or how slow they can get through. And so it'll continue to shift. They'll find the weak links, the weak holes, and they'll keep pushing through there. And the Border Patrol is going to do their job where by cutting sign, they're going to look for the sign. They're going to use all the tools they have. It's a hard job, man. And at the same time, it's a cat and mouse game. You get 1,000 people through here, then there's drugs getting put here. It's just really interesting, really fascinating deal that's going on.
Did you say to me that the time in Border Patrol was like one of like the hardest times of your life, even compared to the military? Was that yours?
No, it was exciting.
It was exciting.
There's nothing going to compare to like kicking in a door and doing a mission as an infantry dude in Ranger Battalion, killer and capturing fucking terrorist organizations, right? Like nothing beats that. But a fucking close is you and a dude chasing like the cat and mouse game between trying to chase like a drug smuggler who's trying to hide from you that could potentially be armed.
Yeah.
Like holy shit, bro.
But you had to have seen some horrible things with that border.
Del Rio sector alone, I think, lost 247 illegal immigrants, right? For them attempting to come across. Imagine being an agent and in 1 year you potentially cross 10, 20 bodies. That's not normal for fucking anybody, bro. There's no organization in the nation that sees that kind of shit.
They die from what? Starvation?
From starvation, from drowning. There's families who drowned. There's family attempting to come across, right? Like I'm empathetic towards it all because like you want to come here and get it, and you're gonna make a really bad mistake because someone manipulated you to try and do it that way. They die from the coyotes leaving them out in the desert, right?
Snake bite.
Anything. It's insane. So 247, almost like one a day. You know, right? Like just under 100.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty wild to think how many border agents are walking up on that. So morale is absolutely fucking low.
You think
right?
we need more border agents?
I think absolutely. I think we need more agents. I think we need more. Like I said, that 7-layer cake. One part of that is more agents.
Have you ever thought of putting together an outline of like how and addressing how to, like you said that you have your opinion in there, how to fix it? Is that in that book?
Part of it's in the book.
Oh, I mean, that's worth its weight in gold, dude. I mean, it sounds.
And I didn't think of it.
I've never spoken to someone that is educated as you on this subject, right? Because but you've taken a lot of time to think this out.
Well, I've actually had think tanks of other agents like, let's talk, man. How can we fix this? Because it's not my brain alone who's able to kind of come up with the answers, but it's everyone who has a piece of this and has
someone who
experienced
hasn't lived it either can't fix that.
No, they can't. They have to understand, like genuinely, there's so many layers to immigration that have to be addressed that politically, most of the time, it's just the top getting scraped off and changed, and it looks good. But the truth, there's so many layers to this that, like, you know, some of these countries, you know, America might have been putting their nose in too much that causes it to turn into what.
so many
So it's like there's
of
layers
course.
to this shit, man.
It's
and
deep, man.
Yeah,
It's deep.
It's deep.
It's
And
deep.
so
It's deep.
I think the most important thing is that I want the country to. I don't like the person saying all these damn Mexicans because it's not all Mexicans. It's illegal. That's immigrant. That's ignorant, right?
Yeah.
I don't
It
like
really
people
doesn't matter
saying
who it is.
Right.
It doesn't make a difference really who it is unless it's a terrorist, right?
Right.
Or someone who's going to come here and inflict harm or fuck with kids.
Yeah, which
right?
they're finding them do.
Which it's happening like
that's
crazy.
the new
Right,
word,
exactly. So it's this really, really complex, multi-layered issue that we have to address in a way that's not, like I said, it's not the 1 + 1 = 2 answer. It's so much more than that.
Yeah.
Has it always been this bad, or are you finding it
No,
worse
it's-
now that there's so much
He
attention on it?
just said it's redlined.
It's harder now than it ever has been because
Resources
we've
are shot.
we've incentivized, and I don't say like, hey, you get this. Not saying that, but it's a lot easier to come across illegally and get into this country and disappear than it ever has been. And so, yeah, that's incentivizing it. Whether you like to see it or not, it's like the government saying, hey, come over here, we'll give you this.
Sure.
Even though they are getting things, right?
Yeah.
But it is saying like, it's a loophole that they found and we're not fixing. Right? It's a loophole that they found and we're not fixing. And so it's hard.
Who's responsible for it then? Us.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to. We
the
have
powers
to.
that be.
Yeah, we have to. There has to be some kind of punishment for people who come over illegally, right? There has to be, right? There has to be more agents out there helping. There has to be, if you're seeking asylum, why don't? I was thinking about this the other night. Like, well, fuck. Why do we only have like, I think it's either 400 or 600, whatever the number is. It's still not enough, but immigration judges. So the funnel, right?
Yeah, 8 million people with 400 judges.
Right, exactly. Like, so how?
It's like 0.3%.
Yeah, it's going to take 5 fucking years.
Yeah.
Why aren't we? What does it take to fucking hire an immigration judge? I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever that is, maybe we should try and double, triple that, right? Real quick.
Yeah.
And then really start seeing what it's right.
Minimize that time down.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that should be looked
The
at.
problem is you can't even contact these people that come in earlier. They're gone. Like let's be real. If that judge has 30 cases to do that day, maybe 2 are showing up.
No, absolutely. That's the other one, right? Is do they come back to the court date?
Yeah, they don't have.
Well, what if they had a court date that day? Well, that'd be a lot easier. Because they'd be like, absolutely not. Go back home. Boom. You know what I mean? But
I mean,
many
they
can
could
you
sit there.
possibly
They could
see?
sit there on a fucking Zoom court date.
I mean,
I mean,
yeah.
something's better than nothing,
We're
dude.
Zoom processing right now. In the stations, you'll have about 20 chairs of people on camera somewhere else processing them.
Jeez, I wish I had that contract.
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Dude, over. Well, dude, Rocco, you're amazing, guys. This book is a must.
Yeah.
We're here to support him.
We'll have a link right to where I have a link on here
100%
for
link.
for Rocco's book.
And the book's probably educational. I think we should all understand our borders so we vote right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that book's going to help us all do that. I think that's a big portion of probably why you wrote it.
Yes, sir.
Dude, I love you to death, bro. You're amazing. You've been inspirational. Part of the family, as far as I'm concerned, dude. And
Yeah.
thanks for everything that you do, bro. Thanks for everything.
Absolutely.
We love
Thank
you,
you.
Rocco.
Thank you.
Yep.